Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man Jay Rich.
Count that money, man.
Now wipe the crust out of your eyes, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. It is Friday, December the 9th, 2022. Y'all decided to wake up with your boy Ray G, and for that, glad y'all are in the building, man. I'm feeling good this Friday. A little rainy out here in Dallas, but it's gonna be a damn good show. We got to get to those not so obvious starts of the week, but we have a new big board, 2023 big board from one Mel Kiper. So you know we got to talk about that, baby. You know we got to talk about that. What we got in the building this morning? Let's talk to the people. What's going on, Dynasty Barry? Rico's in the building. What's going on? 7 Gold Rings, Fizzle Dollars. We'll hear him at the beginning every day. Dan Smith, Brandon in the building. Marlon, Tunchi, Dalton, Johnny Lillycrap, Chris, EV, Alex, AB, Ro, Patrick, Ty. What's up, baby? Y'all are in the building. That's good. We got to get into it, but we got to get to the money first. Y'all know what it is. Prize Picks. Use that promo code WAKEUP. 100% deposit match if you are a first-time user. Go over there. Go play them esports. I know some of y'all were betting on soccer and all that other shit. Come tap in, man. $100 Prize Picks gives you that. Y'all know I can't start the day without that coffee, baby. Michelle Adoro. Go get it. 15% off. It's the holiday season. It's a great Christmas gift. Get some coffee beans, nice porcelain mugs, straight from Italy. They are hand-making these things for you, and we're giving you 15% off, baby. 15% off. Get you some of that Michelle Adoro coffee. It's delicious, tasty, good, yummy. Mel Kiper, 2023 NFL mock. We talked about it a little bit on the Wednesday show in relation to Anthony Richardson. Keyshawn Boutte is going back to school, all that good stuff. Last night, Caleb Williams was announced the winner of the Maxwell Award, Walter Camp Award, so he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. We know Caleb's going to win the Heisman. There were some rumors about Drake May potentially leaving North Carolina, and right now it looks like he's staying, but we'll see how that works out. Coach Prime getting everybody to transfer to Colorado. It's going to be fun. Jay, how you doing this morning, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's funny because I was out most of the day yesterday. So we come in, we start talking, and you're like, man, did you see everything that happened? And, outside of pretty much the Baker game, I missed a lot of it. And so I'm very curious about what else Prime does, because obviously we saw he brought in Mike Zimmer to be his DC. We haven't talked about that yet. But like you just kind of hinted to, there is so many things that could happen. And I forget what the quote was from a Pac-12 coach, but he said something like, if our kids were in the transfer portal, half of them would probably want to go to Colorado. And it's crazy because it's like, is it Deion the personality? Is it Deion the coach? Is it everything? Is it the allure? Is it the publicity? I just find it so fascinating, man. It's hard to believe that a guy of Deion's stature can still bring in all these recruits and be really successful because he's Deion. And it's like, it's very exciting. I almost want to see other people do this, but there's only one Deion, right? And so it's a very intriguing storyline. I'm very excited to see how it plays out in the Pac-12.
Well, I think a good question, Jay, and my wife and I, we had talked about it, and then I saw a couple of other people, shout out Felix Sharp from Campus to Canton. He had put the tweet on Twitter. He said, what other player could have the same type of impact that Deion has had, like if they became a coach? And some names that were thrown out there, Peyton Manning, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis. For me, I think it's not just the fact that they were great players. You have to have that kind of flamboyant personality. So for me, if I were I don't believe he has any inclination to coach collegiate football, but I think Chad Ochocinco could do it. I think Chad Johnson has the name cachet. He's decorated enough as an NFL player that I think if he were like, I want to coach, I think he could have that same type of impact to pull kids into their school that Deion has. But it's interesting, man. It's interesting. But, we got to get to Mel Kiper, and we're only going to look at the offensive skill position players. We're going to look at the quarterbacks, the running backs, the wide receivers, and tight ends. And just because it's new and we're in that season, right? It's draft season damn near. I want to look at who Mel has as the top 10 quarterbacks, top 10 running backs, top 10 wide receivers in this class. And I learned something new from my TDN counterparts, Jay. These mocks, it's not Mel Kiper actually, like, he sat down and scouted. He's just asking around GMs. He's asking from the league sources. Like, this is aggregate information that he's receiving from people in the draft community. And that's how he's building these big boards right now. He is not, from everything that I've heard, he is not scouting right now. This is, the community sentiment for where these players are. So let's dive into these, because kind of had an interesting talk about old Richardson the other day. So let's talk about Mel Kiper's top 10 quarterbacks right now. So let's just go through it. Let's zoom in here so everybody can see. Let's hide those running backs, make it unity. All right, here we go. So we got Will Levis at 1, Bryce Young at 2, CJ Stroud 3, Anthony Richardson 4, Jaden Daniels, who did declare, at 5, Hendon Hooker, his age and his ACL, at 6, Jaron Hall from BYU at 7, Jake Haener, Fresno State, 8, Stetson Bennett 9, and Tanner McKee from Stanford at 10. Just missing the cut, Bo Nix, Max Duggan, and this cat that's getting a lot of buzz, man, Tyson Bagnet from Shepherd. I'm seeing him all over the place. Most touchdown passes, I believe, in college football history. He had D1 offers. Really? He goes to a D2 school and has apparently lit it up. But what are your thoughts about Levis being here at the top, man?
It's not, I don't want to say concerning, but I think your greater point about him just talking to GMs around the league, it makes a lot more sense why some of these names we're not necessarily all in on, or we're seeing up on the big boards often, because these are teams and players who've been scouting players and teams for a long time. So, I mean, we'll get into the running backs and a player who has been up on this list for a while that no one talks about. But Levis being number 1 isn't surprising because, again, we've been talking about it forever. The NFL drafts tools and traits and not necessarily production. But it still surprises me. It still surprises me that Levis is number 1. And we talked about how we keep talking about how he is locked in top 10. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why is he locked in top 10? But him being number 1 on this list tells you all you need to know. They do not care what he did at Kentucky. They don't
care. Every news article that you read about him in his season, none of them seem to care. They're like, it's the size, it's the intangibles, it's if I get in. And I think, unlike running back, and we were talking to Scott Connor about this, man. Unlike running back, what you have at running back right away. There is no 2-year development window for a damn running back, right? Either you're good and you're going to get on the field and play early, or you're bad and you won't see the field. Case in point, this year, just got to keep it real, right? Breece Hall, it started. He didn't start right away, but by week 3, you knew he was the guy. Kenneth Walker didn't start right away, but the moment he got in, you're like, okay, he's the guy. It took a little bit of time for Rachaad White to get his opportunity, but he's gotten opportunity and he's succeeded. Yeah. It took a little while for, who's the other guy? James Cook. Took a little bit for James Cook to get opportunity, but he's getting opportunity. It looks good. Those guys are good. It's the ones who aren't playing at all that's concerning, right? Spiller,
White.
Kyron Williams, those guys. Those are the ones where it's like, all right, man, I mean, how patient are we going to be with the running back? With quarterback, it's not the fact that you need Levis to sit for 2 years, but maybe he needs to sit for 6 weeks, right? 6-8 weeks, half a year, sit 1 season, learn. But the fact that he's still being valued or viewed in this type of light just lets you know that when it comes draft time, man, it's probably not going to matter. Yeah, Pacheco, another one, right? He's a damn 7th round pick, right? And he got opportunity. Like, he's good enough to get on the – you don't got to be patient with no damn running back. Running back can't get on the field year 1. They're probably not good. Wide receiver, little bit of grace, right? Not everybody's chasing is finna come in and go 1,600, right? But you can get you an 800-900 yard rookie season. You see there's some reasons to kind of explain away bad quarterback play. You give receivers a little grace. QBs, you got to be a little patient, a little more patient than you can with like the running back position. But this just tells me, I look at this list, and Jay, after 4, however you want to rank those top 4, I have little to no interest in any of them. I have little to no interest in Jaden Daniels. There's a lot of buzz about Jake Hayner. We'll see. Well,
Yeah.
I'll see him at the Senior Bowl. I think two risers that will end up like working their way up the board as we go through the process will be Bo Nix and Max Duggan. And I don't think either of those guys are going to be any world beaters for us in fantasy football. But I mean, right now, I would take Bo Nix and Max Duggan over Stetson Bennett. I'll tell you that right now. I'd take both of them over Hendon Hooker, probably. So it just shows you that this quarterback class is not that great, Jay. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Now let's get somewhere where some feelings are definitely going to get hurt. Let's take a look at the top 10 running backs according to Mel Kiper. Number 1, surprise, surprise, Bijan Robinson. There, of all the positions this year in the rookie draft class, can we just go ahead and as a community just say there's one RB1 and let's move on and not even debate that? Like, it's Bijan Robinson, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's hope so, at least.
Let's hope so. All right. Devon Achane at 2, Jahmyr Gibbs at 3, Dwayne McBride 4, Blake Corum 5, Marshawn Lloyd at 6. Okay.
Yeah, that was shocking.
Yeah. Zach Charbonnet at 7, Tajay Spears, no issue with it. My boy Kendre Miller and Chase Brown at 10. Jay, I've been saying it for months. I think Chase Brown, Kendre Miller are going to be two of the biggest risers through the draft process. Just write that down, file that away. Love me some Tajay Spears. And I mean, at one point, Jay, I had Devon Achane kind of right there in my tier 1 as like RB4 or 5. For me, he's probably going to be 5 through 7, but I just got to see how the NFL feels about him. He's one where he's going to test like crazy. I love the talent. I love the playmaking ability, but he's 5'9", 185 pounds. So I just need to see the draft capital for Achane. But do you notice any omissions here, Jay?
Well, everyone's in the chat is going wild about Sean Tucker, right? And Sean Tucker, I mean, one of your boys, right? You wanted him top 5.
Get the hell out of here. This guy.
No. I'm not saying he was top 5, but he was a guy you wanted to, see end up in the top 5. I'm very excited for you though, because I know your love for Devon Achane, and I know you're kind of holding that excitement in just a little bit right now because it's still early. But you want to put him right up there with Jahmyr Gibbs.
I do.
You do, right? And so, and then obviously Zach Evans is the other one who's not on this list, who we did have pretty high in our projected rankings and stuff. But, he did get overtaken by a true freshman. That says something about him.
SEC freshman. Quinshawn Judkins, if y'all don't know the name, real damn deal. 5'11", 220-pound freshman who led the SEC in rush. Just incredible. Insane. But yeah, no Tank Bigsby. No Blake Corum, no Zach Evans.
No, Corum's there at 5.
I mean, right? No Sean Tucker, no Tank Bigsby, no Zach Evans.
Yeah.
It's early. He's getting this information from somewhere, and this is just a gentle reminder that while we in the fantasy community want, like I keep seeing people have Evans as like a top 5 rookie pick, and I'm just like, I wouldn't do it. Sean Tucker or Kendre Miller. I get Tucker's fast. It's the fantasy community that wants him to be this top 3 back. I don't think that's going to be the case. What have I been saying about Tucker all year, Jay? How's the NFL going to view a Syracuse running back, right? Like just
not good, apparently, right?
You see UAB on here and Tulane and Lloyd who hasn't done anything. Here's the thing. Tucker's going to go to combine. Tucker's going to run crazy fast. I don't think he's some starting running back at the next. I don't think he's that kind of guy. I think he's a great complementary piece that's going to be an excellent addition to an offense, but a cat that's going to carry the backfield. Scott Connor's been talking about this. There's about to be no such thing as a running back that just carrying the load in the backfield, right? Just it's split backs. That's how they use them. I don't know, man. I'm happy to see Corum on here. Achane, Chase Brown, Kendre Millers, and I love me some Tajay Spears. Zach Charbonnet is a Dameon Pierce clone. He's the type of cat that literally from day one could walk in the NFL, plug and play, starting running back, may not be an elite kind of guy, but or a more explosive version of Brian Robinson. That's who Charbonnet is. Just a hammer. 6'1", 225 pounds, just a hammer, right, from day one. All right, let's go to wide receivers, Jay. Oh, let's see who just missed the list. Yes. Roshan Johnson, Kenny McIntosh, Sean Tucker, Eric Gray, Zach Evans, and Mo Ibrahim. All right, Jay, you ready for the wide receivers?
No, I'm not. Okay. I haven't even looked at the wide receivers yet. I did look at the other ones. This one I haven't seen, so I'm excited for this one.
We'll skip the fullbacks. Let's go to our top 10 wide receivers. Here we go. Number 1, Jackson Smith Njigba, numero uno.
Which is
JSN.
surprising. That is because
It
did
was
you see Todd
surprising to a
McShay
lot of
was
us too.
Todd McShay was ripping JSN like a few days ago on
Yeah.
ESPN,
And you saw
talking about
JSN's.
how he's not playing because he wants to go to the draft and he's actually healthy. I mean, Bruning tweeted it out because he basically said it was a bunch of bullshit. But this is surprising, seeing that McShay is out here ripping JSN for not playing, saying he's healthy and not playing, and he's a borderline first round, second round pick. But Mel Kiper is telling us that GMs still view him very highly. Maybe it's Ohio State, maybe it's his last season, but number
Again,
one, definitely surprising
this
for
is
me.
information that he's receiving from people in the know. So just take it with a grain of salt. I'm just a conduit for the message, right? JSN at 1, Quentin Johnston at 2. I believe, Jay, when it's all said and done, I truly wholeheartedly believe this. He'll be most people's wide receiver 1. I think when it's all
If
said
he's
and
already
done,
2, right? Once he runs 4.3, he's gonna be number
at
1.
6, even if he measures in at 6'3", right? 6'3", 210. When he runs 4.3, when he has a 40-inch vertical jump, when his broad jump is almost 12 feet, I think he's going to end up being. I think he's going to end up being the one, and he's very good. I'll just leave it at that. He is very good. I would take Quentin Johnston over Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'll tell you that. Jordan Addison at 3. Yep. All right. Zay Flowers at 4. Josh Downs 5. Jalen Hyatt 6. Charlie Jones. We got us another wide receiver, baby, in the top 10. Antoine Pierce 2.0. Charlie Jones from Purdue at 7. Cedric Tillman at 8. Rashee Rice at 9. Don't like that. He needs to be a little higher, in my opinion. And Dontavian Wicks from Virginia at 10. Let's look at the wide receivers who just missed the cut. We got Marvin Mims that didn't make it, Jonathan Mingo, Elijah Higgins, Jacob Cowing, A.T. Perry. I don't know any of the other guys. So of the top 10, the biggest kind of shock to me to see was Zay Flowers at 4. That's a little shocking, right? Zay Flowers at 4.
Well, I think the interesting thing about Zay Flowers at 4 is it really shows me that tier break and how much I'm missing seeing Kayshon Boutte in this list, right? To really make it seem like it's big. Like, I don't have a problem with Zay Flowers at all. I think he's a good receiver, but there is no wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, potentially even wide receiver 6 in this class that I'm like, okay, yeah, they probably deserve to be there. It's just someone has to be there. Is it Josh Downs? Is it Rashee Rice? Is it Jalen Hyatt? But that tier break is looking massive right now. And I think that's the biggest thing is no matter who you want to slot it for, it feels like going from Jordan Addison to Zay Flowers or Josh Downs or Rashee Rice or Cedric Tillman or Jalen Hyatt feels like a massive tier gap.
Yeah.
Very big tier gap for me.
I'd have Hyatt a little bit higher. Boutte not being in really kind of it leaves the door open. I think the top 3 are going to be the top 3. Then I would think I would move Hyatt up to probably 4. Rashee Rice, Josh Downs, Flowers would be behind both of those guys. Tillman ahead of Charlie Jones. Yeah. I'll just say the receiver class is not strong this year. I think you've got 3 good candidates to be, and of the top 3, how many of them do I think walk into an NFL offense and are the one? Quentin Johnston,
maybe
probably.
One. Maybe
Johnston,
one.
probably.
Right.
It's not a strong wide receiver class. I'll just say that. The strength of this class is definitely in the running backs. And let's just look at the tight ends really quickly to give a couple of names that I need to watch a little bit more. Luke Musgrave from Oregon State. I've heard a lot of good things about that kid. I have not seen him play, so I'll be checking out Musgrave. But you got Michael Mayer at 1, which he will be the one for everyone. Tucker Kraft at 2, Luke Musgrave 3, Dalton Kincaid, one of my personal favorites, at 4, Sam Laporta at 5, Darnell Washington 6, Davis Allen, Cam Latu, who will be at the Senior Bowl. Allen will be as well. Will Mallory, and then Payne Durham from Purdue as your top 10 tight ends. And I think there's some good tight ends in this class that we'll be able to grab 3rd, 4th round. A Cam Latu, Dalton Kincaid, Musgrave, Kraft. Those are going to be tight ends in tight end premium leagues, 2 tight end leagues that you'll be able to get pretty late in our rookie draft. So by and large, man, you look at this list, and what I would do is if you still are at a spot where your trade line hasn't passed or right after the season it opens up, keep all of this in mind. And if you're banking on finding you a rookie wide receiver to come in and be a contributor for you, and maybe you've got like the 110, 111, maybe the play is to trade that for maybe like a Hollywood Brown. Can you get rid of that
Yeah.
111 for Devontae Smith or something along there? Just take a look and keep in mind the depth of this class, where it's at, where it's located. You know there's a bunch of good running backs. If Zach Evans and Tucker and McIntosh didn't even make the top 10, even if you swap some of those guys out, it's still very deep at the running back position. And like we talked about, been talking about, very thin at quarterback. So use this information to sort of construct your offseason roster moves in Dynasty Fantasy Football, Jay. But we got to get to the news. We got a little bit, Jay. So I think we'll get into straight facts with you, man, and we'll knock out the news, and then we'll get into some Week 14 stuff. Let's go straight facts.
The biggest news in the world of sports. Covered and brought to you by one man, Jordan Richards. This is Straight Facts, presented by Michele Adoro.
All right, Ray. So here's the biggest problem is that we have a ton of bye weeks this week, and we have a lot of injuries on top of that. Now, some of the good news we are getting this week, Joe Mixon will be returning to the starting lineup for the Cincinnati Bengals. He did practice in full on Wednesday and fully expected to play and be the one per Bengals.com. Kenneth Walker, though, did not practice Thursday. Neither did DJ Dallas. So we are looking at a pretty ugly backfield for Seattle, with Geno Smith also being limited in practice with a shoulder issue on Thursday. Now, Jalen Waddle did practice in full, so he should be good to go. Mike Williams as well should be good to go. Cortland Sutton was DNP'd on Thursday, so we'll see what happens with him today. If he can practice, then hopefully he's going to play. If not, he's probably looking like he's not going to. Treylon Burks, with his concussion, didn't practice. I honestly don't expect him to play this week. Probably the best for him. Brandon Cooks expected to be out. Lamar Jackson also didn't practice. We don't expect him to play. And then Teron Armstead, the Dolphins left tackle, got a limited practice in, which was a little bit surprising because he was dealing with a bit of an injury. They have a big game this week against the Chargers. That's kind of what we're looking at injury-wise right now. And then obviously we had a game on Thursday Night Football yesterday. Baker Mayfield.
Talk about it.
Two, not one, but two drives to lead that team to a victory, Ray. I don't think there's a more shocking story in sports. This guy got picked up off waivers on Wednesday, started the game on Thursday, a little rusty.
Well, he didn't start. He didn't start, though.
He didn't start?
No, he didn't start. Walford started. John Walford started. It was only for a series, so if you tapped in late.
I tuned in a little late.
He didn't start. He started a series, and then they were like, no. They put Baker, but continue, because yes, you dogged Baker out a couple of days ago, saying no one should care. The YouTube.
The Rams should care, right? The Rams should care. Apparently, 22 for 35, 230 touchdown. Obviously, game-winning touchdown on a great play, right? Right to Van Jefferson down the left sideline.
It was a great throw.
I mean, I still don't care, but great job by Baker and an epic collapse by your Raiders. There's no reason the Raiders should lose this game, but all the credit to Baker Mayfield to come into a room. I think Sean McVay said they practiced 10 plays on Thursday or something. Like, they had nothing. Someone made a joke on Twitter. He's like, Baker Mayfield's in the huddle saying, yeah, run play number 14, run play number 7, because that's all he knows. He doesn't know the language or anything. But to come in and win this game, zero preparation, I think it's what makes me realize more than anything else, right? Is as bad as Baker Mayfield is, this is kind of what gets quarterbacks drafted really high in the draft, and why they get these chances, because
he's entertaining, man.
He has the ability to do this, for better or worse. And
I don't know how this
gets
happened.
people drafted.
Jay,
the
punted
Raiders
the ball.
Are terrible. That's
Brandon
why.
Powell lets it bounce. It's like a minute and a half left, right? Lets it bounce, bounces to the 2. I'm like this. All I'm thinking is pick 6, strip sack, fumble, touchdown. Nope, he got a pass interference call. There was a unsportsmanlike Jerry Tillery slapping the ball out of Mayfield's hands. Like, just stupid stuff from the Raiders. Just stupid stuff, right? And he's he's got Tutu Atwell and Ben Skoranek out there looking like, it's looking
Robert
like
Woods and Cooper Kupp.
Yes, it's Woods and Kupp. It's Woods and Kupp. It's Megatron and whoever else, white Megatron out there, Moss and DBs. I mean, look at Skoranek. Jay, I had him in a best ball league. 7 for 89 for Skoranek.
Killed it.
I'll take it. I was expecting 2 catches for 12 yards. I mean, Baker drives him down the field. I mean, we asked this
Starting
question:
quarterback rest of the season,
Is
right?
Baker going to be a starting quarterback next season? Do you think he's going to be a starting quarterback somewhere next season?
To get the job outright in the offseason, like
Yes,
leaves the
somebody.
Rams. So, Ray, but I will say no as of
Okay.
right now. But I think, Ray, if he plays well enough, could this open the door for him to be the starting quarterback of the Rams next season? Because we've already talked about if Stafford leaves, if McVay leaves, they need to have someone at quarterback, and that quarterback could be, for all we know, Baker Mayfield. If he stays in the system and they like him and they like what he's done with the team, maybe they just keep him because they got nothing to lose.
Jay, I don't know, man. I don't want to go that far. All I know is it was a hell of a comeback by Baker Mayfield. And Skip Bayless is going to go off today. I got to watch Skip because he's going to go off. Him and Shannon might come to blows. I give him his credit, man. I give him his props.
Yep.
He beat the. And what's so frustrating, the Raiders were awful. Derek Carr, 11 for 20, 137, one of the worst interceptions you will ever see, right? Jay, I'm going to tell you my big takeaway from this, man, is I'm so happy that Josh Jacobs is going to get a bag. He's going to get paid after this season. I don't want anything to do with him after this year. They are running him into the ground. And
Legit.
He's clearly not 100%, but he's fighting through it because he knows it's payday season. We may never see this level of Josh Jacobs ever again after this season. After he gets paid, he's fighting through injury. 19 carries in the first half. He had 27 carries, 2 receptions. I mean, they're just pounding him up the middle. Devontae Adams starts the game off, Jay. I think first series has a beautiful one-handed 30-something yard catch, has another one, and then he can only catch one more pass for the rest of the game. One more pass for the rest of the game. Adams did nothing. I needed him this week in some spots, Jay. What the hell? It looked like he was due for a 200-yard game, and he finishes with 60, 70 yards, man. Like, what the hell?
Ray, what's
yards.
hilarious, right? You know what I've noticed, this correlation with the Raiders. When Devontae Adams has a good game and they actually get him the ball, they tend to win the game.
Win.
I mean, go figure, right?
Go figure.
And then when they don't get him the ball, they lose. It's very shocking to see a player of his caliber play well and the team win versus when he doesn't do anything due to the coaching and the quarterback play, they lose the game. But that's the Raiders for you. We thought they were kind of on the ascension again, and then they lose to the Rams.
Yep. Rams 4-9, Raiders 5-8, and that probably was the nail in the coffin for any Raiders playoff hopes. But Jay, we got a bunch of games this week. I know we got a bunch of teams on bye. So let's start with some not so obvious starts at the quarterback position. Where you want to go, Jay?
So quarterback is very ugly this week. My only guy that I really like is Trevor Lawrence. He is dealing with a foot injury. He did not practice on Thursday, so we'll see if he practices today. If he gets a limited work in, then he's probably going to play. He plays Tennessee, number 2 in fantasy points allowed to the quarterback position. So even with his injury, I think you have to risk it. There's a lot of studs this week. Like, you're starting Jared Goff, you're starting Kirk Cousins, and then there's a ton of studs beyond those guys. Outside of that, it's really gross. But outside of Trevor Lawrence, my next guy up, I think, is Mac Jones. He faces Arizona.
I was going to say Mac Jones. Yeah.
Okay. So Mac Jones faces Arizona at number 4. Number 4 allowing fantasy points to quarterbacks. Arizona also gives it up a lot to the tight end. So Hunter Henry, not going to bury the lead there. Start of the week for the tight end position. But I did want to play a quick game of Would You Rather, Ray, just to talk about the other potential options.
Let's do it.
Mac Jones or Russell Wilson versus Kansas City.
Mac Jones, not a doubt. Jay Rich, not a ever-loving doubt in my mind. I would start Mac Jones over Russell Wilson, brother. What about you?
Well, I'm with you. And especially if Courtland Sutton is out, right? Now you have Mac Jones or Brock Purdy versus Tampa Bay.
Mac Jones. I'm not trusting him versus Tampa. I'm not doing it, Jay. I can't put my Week 14 playoff hopes, championship aspirations on the right arm of Brock Purdy. I can't do it. Not versus Tampa Bay. No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, I'm with you there as well. Now, your boy, Daniel Jones versus Philly. Mac Jones versus Arizona, or Daniel Jones versus Philly, who are the best team in the NFL at fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks, 11.9 per game, Ray, which is, like I said, your best in the NFL. This is your guy, though, Daniel Jones. Big game this week versus Philly. Would you trust him over Mac Jones?
Oh, man.
It's tough. It is tough. I don't know what the answer is. It's tough, but
could the game script be Philly gets up on the Giants early,
Mhm.
and then
Absolutely.
they just have to come back, and Jones is forced to run around, gets a couple of
Mhm.
cheap touchdowns, garbage times his way to some fantasy relevance. I'd probably start Daniel Jones over Mac Jones, but it is this is not the ideal matchup that I'm looking
Yeah.
for all of my Daniel Jones shares. This is not what I'm looking for, Jay. But I would probably start Daniel Jones over Mac. Yeah.
Yeah, because the turnover potential for Daniel Jones is extremely high in this game, right? So that's one of the big concerns. The next guy on the list is Kenny Pickett. Would you start Mac Jones versus Arizona or Kenny Pickett versus Baltimore?
Mac. This is
And then
gross.
the last one is Mac Jones or Tyler Huntley versus Pittsburgh on the other side of that game.
I'm okay with Huntley. I think I would roll the dice with Huntley.
Over
He's
Mac?
got Andrews over. I would roll the dice with Huntley over Mac. I think
Okay.
I would roll the
And then
dice.
Then the only one who I think you would take, who's kind of on the fringes of if he's a stud or not, is Deshaun Watson, right? Versus Cincinnati this week. Would you play Deshaun Watson?
I can't.
You're not doing it?
I can't. He's got a part. He looks so bad. I can't do it, Jay. I can't. I've got to see it before I believe it, baby. I can't do it with Deshaun Watson right now. He will not be starting for me.
So then I think for us, our final list of kind of the not so obvious guys would be Trevor Lawrence, Daniel Jones, and then Mac Jones. And then you did mention Tyler Huntley as a guy you would maybe start over Mac Jones. I think those guys are a little bit closer. Okay, so question for you then, last one, Tyler Huntley or Daniel Jones? Because you kind of said you'd start Tyler Huntley over Mac Jones. So would you start Tyler Huntley over Daniel Jones?
Probably.
Okay, so then it would be Trevor Lawrence, Tyler Huntley, Daniel Jones, Mac Jones. That's kind of our final list, and everyone else is basically we're not starting those guys.
Agreed. I don't want. I mean, I'll just ask you: any interest in Sam Darnold versus the Seahawks?
No. He didn't even make the list, man. I can't do it. I'd rather start Brock Purdy than Sam Darnold personally. Then at least I'm buying into the weapons and the players, not.
Last one, your boy Mike White over any of them.
I don't think I could do it against the Bills.
Against the
Bills,
Bills.
I didn't mention Geno Smith either. I don't even think.
I think he's an obvious start at this point. Geno, Goff, you're starting those
Kirk
two.
Cousins, all those guys.
Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady. You're starting them. The ones that
Tom Brady may be a question. Where are you at with Tom Brady? Are you because again he's playing the Niners? He's pretty low on the list if he's playing the 49ers.
I know he's going to throw the ball 50-something times, so I'll just bet on the volume, right? Russell Wilson cannot do it versus Kansas City. I can't do it, man. Davis Mills versus Dallas, absolutely not.
Dude, you want to talk about a negative negative output? Davis Mills versus the Cowboys.
Can't do it. Watson versus the Bengals.
They are throwing him to the fucking wolves, dude. They got Kyle Allen starting, and they're like, "Hey, Davis Mills, how about you go play Dallas this week?"
Yeah, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. I can't do it, Jay. Can't do it. All right, let's get into some running backs, baby.
So the only running back I like, this is really gross. If you have a running back this week, be thankful because the only guy who
there's a couple of good ones, man. There's a couple.
I made a list, right? And we'll do the same type of thing here. But Jeff Wilson versus the Chargers is you have to play him. But Ray, I am so nervous because again, the two matchups we target every week, the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Chargers. He's playing the Chargers this week, who have allowed 89 yards each of the last 6 weeks to a running back, whether it's Tyler Algier or Josh Jacobs, Isaiah Pacheco, everybody's going for 100 against them basically. So I like Jeff Wilson a lot. But I like Jeff Wilson against Houston, and he had 30 yards because Mike McDaniel said, you know what, Tua is our quarterback, and we're going to throw the ball.
You know what Jeff Wilson had last week versus the Niners? 1 for 3.
Well, tougher matchup, so I will forgive him for that. So it's again, the matchup is great. Is it Mostert or Wilson? I don't know.
I don't want to.
But outside of that, right, would you play Najee Harris versus Baltimore? Volume back, going to be the lead guy.
Yes.
So you're fine with him?
Yes.
Your boy Dameon Pierce versus your Cowboys defense. Is there any way in hell you could play him?
You got to play him. You're not going to sit him. You got to play him.
And then Latavius Murray versus Kansas City, who's another volume type of back where I don't love him, but he gets the volume every week. He's got some type of floor, I think, compared to some of the other guys that we have on this list.
I don't want to play Latavius Murray. I'll tell you that. I'm not excited about that of plugging him in the lineup at all. I don't like it. I don't like that.
All right. So let me give you some other options then. I mean, so you do have James Cook versus the Jets. but as well, he's going to be splitting probably with Singletary.
Yep.
So how do you feel about that backfield situation this week? Because it could be a blowout, could see a lot of Josh Allen, but I don't think we know how it's going to play out. And that should make starting both those guys a little bit difficult. I'm still starting Singletary in a couple best ball leagues and stuff. He's going to probably make my lineup. But if I had to make the decision, I think you're right. Najee Harris for sure. Damian Pierce, though, over those guys, I don't know.
I mean, Jay, what else are we doing? What else are we doing?
Yeah,
I
don't know. And that Jets defense is still pretty good. Like, I don't expect a lot from the backs.
It's awesome. It's a fantastic defense. It's legit.
And it's a situation we don't understand. We don't know who's getting the work, how much volume they're getting, where that volume is going, if they're even going to run the ball at all, because there's games where they just decide, hey, we're not going to run the ball. And then on the other side, would you start Bam Knight versus the Bills? Because we expect a heavy negative game script for them on the Jets on the road in Buffalo. Can Bam Knight be startable?
I think that's the way that they need to neutralize Buffalo's offense, is try to keep them off of the field, run the ball, control it with Knight. Salah's already come out to say Bam Knight's not going anywhere. We know Michael Carter's probably back. Good defense, so maybe they can get a couple of early stops on Buffalo and just try to ball control it. So I think if you have Bam Knight, I think you've got to fire him up. You've got to fire up Deontay Foreman again. Like, you got to fire him up versus Seattle. You have to. I know on the other side of that ball, no Kenneth Walker, right? Is Kenneth Walker out, or is it trending towards being out?
Yeah, so Kenneth Walker and DJ Dallas both dealing with injuries. Both we're going to see about Friday today if they actually practice. If they do, then maybe they play. But if they don't, we're looking at Travis Homer and Tony Jones Jr. in the backfield for Seattle.
And they signed Wayne Gallman. They signed Wayne Gallman off the streets.
Oh, God, Wayne Gallman. I think I would start Travis Homer though against the Carolina defense. I'm fine with that. He's got a knee
injury. I don't want to start any of those guys.
He practiced in full. He practiced in full yesterday.
Okay.
So he should be good to go. I mean, to your point, how healthy is he relative to the other backs? I don't know, but at least he did practice in full. He's not limited.
Okay.
So he should be the guy, and obviously has been in that system for a few years. So I would potentially trust him if Dallas and Walker are out. Someone's got to run the ball, and we have seen him in the past have some pretty good rushing appearances early in the season. I believe there's a game where Rashad Penny got hurt. Kenneth Walker wasn't back yet, and Homer had like 80 yards and a half or something. He had a really good half there. So I would trust him. But then you have Rachaad White and Leonard Fournette. You know, can they catch enough passes to be viable versus the 49ers, man? Like, because they're not going to run the ball at all. We know that already.
And you don't, in last game, we're thinking White has had the takeover, and it's all Leonard Fournette. Yeah. No, Rachaad White ain't even in. You're like, what happened?
Well, he fumbled, right? It was the fumble.
And he caught a late touchdown pass, right, to save his day. But I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, Jay. If you've got a running back that's survived till week 14, that's not on bye, no Alvin Kamara, no Jonathan Taylor, you just got to play him. No Brian Robinson, no Antonio Gibson this week. You have to play these guys, man. Like, there's no. I can't name a back that you're not rolling out this week. Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt's a maybe. Isaiah Pacheco versus Denver. How do you feel about that situation? I don't love it personally. I think he's kind of a guy that's somewhere in the middle. I don't want to play him.
But you have to. Who are you going to sit him for? You have to.
Not really anybody, right? If you picked up Travis Homer or something.
I'm not starting no damn Travis Homer over Isaiah Pacheco. I'm not doing that. I think you. Would you play the backup running back to Christian McCaffrey? Would you play Jordan Mason?
No.
We're going not so obvious, man. Or would you play?
I can't do that.
Okay. All right.
I can't do that. I think you're looking at, and then we haven't even talked really much about the Patriots and the Cardinals, but you're starting James Conner against the Patriots. How would you feel about that situation? I think you kind of have to.
The Patriots defense is legit, but you got to play Conner. You're going to play Ramondre Stevenson. And that's it. Conner and Stevenson.
He'll smash.
Those are it.
Yeah, and then you have Etienne, Henry, right? Like Eckler, and
those are obvious ones. You're firing them up,
man. Yeah, Tony Pollard.
If you've got a living body, a breathing body, you're firing them up this week. Honestly, there's no. I think the position where you can get a little like tight ends. If you got one that's active, you got to start them. There's not a not so obvious tight end start of the week. If you have them, they're healthy and they're active, you got to start them, right? Hayden Hurst, got to start them. I'm just looking through the tight ends. Evan Ingram, you got to start him.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to start these guys, Jay. Cade Otton, you probably got to start him versus San Francisco. You just got to go. You just got to start these guys. Everett, you're starting them. I want to talk about the receivers who you're not comfortable playing this week. Like, there's some
Oh,
not so obvious ones. I think for me, the big one, the top of mind was Zay Flowers for me, but any of them versus Detroit.
Zay,
Like,
Zay Flowers
I
or
mean,
Zay Jones
Zay Jones, Zay Jones.
versus
I'm in rookie
Tennessee. Yeah,
mode. Yeah,
yeah,
Zay Jones. You got to start Zay Flowers too. Zay Jones,
yeah.
Zay Flowers. You got to start both of those guys. Lions offense is great. Defensively, we know they're not that good. So if T-Law's in, you starting all your Jags receivers, right? You're starting Kirk. You're starting Jones.
Yeah.
You're starting.
So I think yeah. If T-Law's in, I love Zay Jones. I love Kirk. Probably not going to start Marv, but yeah, against Tennessee, one of the worst defenses in the league,
Yep.
allowed the most passing yards in the league, smash spot. But without him, one of my really ugly guys I'm considering here is DJ Shark. DJ Shark up against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings have been a sieve on defense. You know, we talk about not so obvious. You want to start Jared Goff at home where the Lions put up almost 30 points a game. As well, DJ Shark, it was a revenge game, so I'm not going to put a ton of stock into the revenge game. But again, another matchup that's very exploitable. We saw the Patriots absolutely destroy the Vikings, and
Yes.
Mac Jones threw for a ton of yards. So I think this is another matchup where they can exploit it. They will use the backs a lot, but DJ Shark, ugly. Like, I'm not excited about it. But if you need someone deep down in the depths of hell, I think there's worse matchups here. Now, the game that I think I don't know what to do with is the Ravens and Steelers game. It's not a game that should be 30-27, but it's a game that could be because both those defenses are not very good. And I don't trust the quarterbacks. But again, Deontay Johnson dealing with a potential hip injury. So if he doesn't play, Ray, would you feel comfortable starting George Pickens against that Baltimore defense, knowing he'd be basically the only guy there? So you're just betting on the volume and that he can do something with it and Pickens can get him the ball.
I started George Pickens last week, and that dude gave me a goose egg. I mean, I think these are it's. I think for wide receiver, Jay, these are the questions that we have to ask. Like, can you start this guy, right? Like, can you trust Pickens this week? And
you
I'm
can't trust him, but would you trust him, right? Yeah.
Like, I know people want to buy into the Mike White has helped Elijah Moore, but can you even risk starting him this week versus Buffalo? Like, can you afford an Elijah Moore in your roster this week?
Nope.
Let me just ask you, let me get to some better names, Jay. Can you start Amari Cooper or Donovan Peoples-Jones versus Cincy?
Yes. So we are on opposite sides of this spectrum, Ray.
Okay.
This for me is the Deshaun Watson breakout, quote unquote, game. It's not that he's going to be good, but again, they're playing Cincinnati. They're not playing the fucking Houston Texans this week. They can't afford to score 3 points on offense.
Cincinnati's defense has been pretty good, man.
So I'm fine with that. I'm with you on that. But again, this is fantasy football. This isn't my future quarterback franchise. This is this week in fantasy football. I think Deshaun Watson's going to have to throw the ball 40 times. Right? They're not going to be able to lean on Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt. Since he's not stupid, they watched the tape last week. They'll put 8, 9, 10 guys in the box because they know all they have to do is stop Nick Chubb. And they force Deshaun Watson to throw the ball. And so I believe, Ray, that you can start these guys only because I think they're going to have to throw the ball. They're going to be behind, and he will volume his way to production for all of his players. Whether it's David Njoku, who got a limited practice this week, he may actually be in the lineup, so that would be great for Watson. And then obviously DPJ, who had a modest week with a couple receptions, and then Amari Cooper. I understand the road Amari Cooper thing, though, so maybe you don't want to start Amari Cooper on the road, but I believe the volume is going to be there. It's just, can Watson deliver 20 completions on 40 attempts for like 250 yards?
So you're fine with starting Coop and Donovan Peoples-Jones this week. You're good rolling them out there. You got to have it this week. You're all right starting both of those guys?
I think so, because I look at some other situations, right? I'm starting the Bucks. I don't love it, though, against the Niners, right? You're probably starting your Chargers, but you don't have the Palmers to start because Mike Williams is back. You don't have the DeAndre Carters to start because Keenan Allen is back.
Yeah.
So everyone who has their studs is kind of back already. You potentially lose the Jaguars. You're not starting any Titans. You're starting your Bills. You don't want to start your Jets. You're starting your Chiefs. There's no Broncos to start.
You're starting Garrett Wilson. You're starting Garrett Wilson regardless.
Yeah, but you don't love it. Texans, we're not starting anybody there.
Nobody.
Even the Cowboys. Do you want to start Michael Gallup in a game where it should be 40-0 by the end of the first quarter?
Because they're going to put up points. They're going to put foot in them. They're just going to run it up. We saw them drop. They're going to run it up on Houston. You're starting your Cowboys. You're starting Garrett Wilson. I think the bigger question, like you said, is, You know, like you can't start any Titans receiver. None of them. Like
No.
maybe Hooper. You can start off. I got to start Hooper in the spot because tight end is brutal. You're not starting Robert Woods. You're not starting Nick Westbrook-Akine, right? From the Giants, you're starting Darius Slayton, but you don't
Yeah, you
feel
have
good
to.
about that versus that Philly defense. Pittsburgh.
Those are the two games for me, right? Like, I think you look at the Ravens players, the Steelers players, and the Browns players are interesting spots that people aren't really going to talk about. The rest are either you have a stud or you don't, right?
Well,
and I think you could make the case
are you starting
for
Judy
Carolina
versus Kansas City with how the Russell's playing? Like,
Well,
it's like you have to.
if Sutton's out, you have to. Like if Sutton's out, I
If
don't
Sutton's
care.
in,
I'm
you
playing
have
him.
to. If Sutton's in, you have to. Like, who else are you going to play?
Probably.
You know, you go to
Probably.
Carolina. Do I want to start DJ Moore? You got
No,
to.
but you probably do. I mean, he was good with Sam
Man, they're
Darnold.
going to have
be fair.
Tyreek Woolen on him. Woolen versus Moore. Like, Darnold, it's a shit week, man. Like, you got to just bite the bullet and pray this week. You just got to bite the bullet and pray at wide receiver because all these I'm looking at these quarterbacks. Darnold versus Seattle, probably not going to end well. That's probably not going to end well. You know, Brock Purdy, you got to fire up Debo. You got to start Debo. You got to start Kittle. You got to start. Like, think about that. Think about the players that you have to start.
I don't want to start Debo.
Are you going to bench? Who do you bench him for? Like, think about the quarterback play and these receivers that you have to start this week. Because what else are you going to? You got to start the Broncos receivers, even though Russ has been bad. You have to start DJ Moore, even though it's Sam Darnold versus the Seahawks. You have to start your 49ers with a 7th-round rookie quarterback versus Tampa Bay. You have to start him. You have to start Darius Slayton from the Giants versus Phil. This is rough. You've got to start your Pittsburgh Steelers. This is...
And that's what I'm saying. What's scary is that you're talking about entire rosters, Ray, where there is one startable wide receiver. One. DJ Moore, Darius Slayton, Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton, we'll see there. You know, like Garrett Wilson on the Jets, and there should be a ton of volume there. We just don't trust it. Like, it's scary, man. Scary hours this season. Scary.
And my thing is, and with that, man, it's like, and we've got one that's been wiped off the board with the shit night, Devontae Adams. You know, he's already like you're counting on him to be your, you know, a top 3 guy this week versus the Rams. And he gets his 3 passes for 79 yards. So it's like that's one
crushed
off
by
the
old
board.
Ben Skoranek, right?
Outproduced by old Ben, and damn near the same amount of points that Tutu Atwell put up because he had 5 for 50. So it's you got to fire him up. This is rough, man. Tight ends. We talked a little bit about Hooper. You can start Chig. I think you have to.
So the other guy we didn't talk about was, would you start Adam Thielen this week versus the Lions? That's the game. I think if you were talking about like DFS and playing, like it's like a 52.5 point over under last time I checked. It's going to be very high scoring, very, very high scoring. And hopefully, like we expected last week, it to be high scoring with the Jags and the Lions, the Vikings can actually put up points and score. Like Jets should have a massive game. I think Thielen could have a big game as well. You obviously have on the other side, Detroit should be able to put up points on Minnesota. Jared Goff probably have a decent game there. That's where I'm targeting, you know, but would you start Thielen? I think Thielen would be pretty high on the rankings because the matchup is good. You're just praying he scores because the volume hasn't quite been there, but they're going to have to put up points in this one. I think that's great for Thielen potentially. Obviously, Jets you want to play. And then I think at tight end, TJ Hawkinson, he's been getting the volume. And I think in this revenge game for him, right, going back into Detroit, they probably want to get him the ball and make sure he has a good game as well.
Oh, man. That's where we're at. This has been a wild fantasy season. I mean, any tight ends, that sneaky ones, you got to start Bellinger. I see people in the chat talking about Bellinger. Somebody said Hayden Hurst is out. I don't even know what that means for Cincinnati. I don't even know what that means. If Njoku's limited again today and he's active on Sunday, you got to start him with absolute fear that he finishes the game. Denver, you starting Greg Dulcich. The Buccaneers, you're starting Cade Otton. The Seahawks, I don't even know.
We're starting not Hayden Hurst. Hunter Henry is the main one. You got to wait till Monday night, but he's playing the Cardinals, so Cardinals are good. Is there any tight end of consequence on the Carolina Panthers because they're playing the Seahawks? Seahawks are also off against tight ends, but there's no one you want to play there.
No.
I think, would you play Jack Stoll this week against the Giants? Giants actually a pretty good tight end matchup, but he hasn't got the ball at all lately.
No. No, Jay. I'm not starting
Yeah.
Jack Stoll, Jack Sparrow. I'm not starting them. Jack Skeleton. No, thank you. I'm not starting any Jacks versus from Philadelphia. Not happening. It's just brutal.
Would you start Pat Fryermuth this week versus the
Yes,
Ravens? I think
yes,
that's a pretty
yes.
good matchup. Right?
I'd be enthralled to have Pat Fryermuth on a roster that I have to start Josh Oliver this week. Yes, give me Fryermuth, please. Please. Just don't start any Dolphins tight ends. You don't start anyone from the Dolphins. Chiefs, you
Yeah.
get Kelsey, and that's it. It's just, this is where we're at. Injuries, non-performing quarterbacks, shitty offenses. This is what we have to deal with this week. So if you have a healthy, living body, you just got to roll them out there, Jay. And that's really where we're at this stage of the season. Hawkinson is locked and loaded. You're firing him up. I
Yeah,
do
you
think
gotta
that
play him,
that Vikings-Lions game is one to target. And did you see that DeAndre Swift is on the injury report now?
Yeah. Of course.
Of course.
Of course he is, right?
Of course he is. Of course.
I think he did get a full practice in yesterday, though. So I think he should be. I think I did see that. He's okay. He should be okay. I need him this week, so.
Yeah, this is Joe. You hit the nail on the head. The chat isn't working on our system, but I see it on YouTube. Joe hit the nail on the head. She said it's really time to grind. This is where we shine. Is what it is. You gotta. I think the big thing is, Jay. Don't make any decision literally until Sunday at 11. Wait till the inactives come in, inactives, and really grind. I know mentally we're oh yeah, you got to fire up Mike Evans, but maybe there's a bet. Let me ask you, Zay Jones or Mike Evans this week?
I think it's got to be Zay Jones. I really don't even think it's even that close. We saw Mike Evans get basically bracketed for a whole game versus the Saints. I don't know why the Niners wouldn't do anything different, because they know you have to stop Mike Evans. You can, limit Chris Godwin, let him methodically go down the field, but he's not going to kill you the way Mike Evans will kill you down the field. And I think the Jaguars they have to attack the Titans. The Titans are god awful. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones should be dynamite as long as Trevor's healthy and playing. I think you have to trust him to deliver the ball because there's nobody else to play. There just isn't.
And these are decisions. I'm not throwing this out there just to be controversy but these are decisions that you're gonna have to make because you're gonna see this name on your roster, right? You're gonna see Mike Evans, and then you're like, man, do I really trust that versus San Francisco on the road, or do I just fire up Zay Jones versus Tennessee? And you've got to make that call. You know what I mean? Jay, you make a great point with DJ Chark. Are you starting DJ Chark this week, or are you starting Devin Duvernay or DeMarcus Robinson or one of these other receivers? Who? These are the decisions.
Even a Hollywood Brown, right? Hollywood Brown versus the Patriots. I don't love the matchup. I don't love the wide receiver 2 for Arizona, and I think that game could be really bad, right? So it's there are opportunities here. I think, you talk about Zay Jones. He actually had a bad week last week versus the Lions, and it should have been great. It was just Christian Kirk. It should have been both of them. Zay Jones was coming off games where he had 8 receptions and 11 receptions. The previous 2 had a bad week last week. Part of it was Trevor getting hurt, but it's if he's back, he should be heavily involved. He has to be heavily involved, but it's so difficult to make that choice to say, I'm taking Zay Jones over Mike Evans. Mike Evans has been under 60 yards each of the last 3 games. And hasn't really been scoring as much, not producing, low volume because he's been getting bracketed because teams have kind of figured out how to stop the Bucs and limit the Bucs to some degree. Now playing the Niners on the road, it's a tough game.
But
Brady going home,
Brandon Cooks at all?
He's out.
Expected to
be out already. No, you can't. He's going to be out. He's
out?
He's not even expected to play already. Yeah. And Nico Collins is limited, I think, in practice right now or not practicing. But I mean, you're Texans, you're not trying to play the Texans roulette wheel, right?
You're gonna get to a point, Jay, where you're literally rolling out
I don't even know. Would you start Richie James versus the Eagles at just praying for garbage time?
That's what I'm getting at. You're in dirty hours, right? Are you starting Gabe Davis versus the Jets? It feels like it's a good option at this point.
Yeah, till he gets Sauce Gardner when he plays on the right side.
Tis fantasy, man. That's fantasy football this season, man. It is what it is, man. I mean, is Jacoby? Somebody said Myers out. I don't know. Is he out? I don't even want. No, I can't.
Well, you can wait a little bit because we'll get Saturday practice for Jacoby Myers as well. So we will have a bit more information with him. I haven't seen anything to say that he's out yet, though. I think he's questionable right now. So he didn't practice Thursday. But yeah, you will have, because they do play Monday night, so you will have Saturday reports as well. So you'll have a bit more information on Myers before you have to
Our
make a
boy
decision.
Fizzle said, how we feeling about J.K. Dobbins this week or once he's back?
Well, I'm not playing J.K. Dobbins.
There's
no way.
Man.
There's no way.
It.
I don't care how desperate you are. It's just, I can't do it.
Now they're saying Jacoby Myers is out. My whole we got a matchup this week.
Out?
All my players are out. Like, you got a free win. You got a free win. I have nobody.
I had Devontae Adams shit the bed, so that's not great for
Ben
me.
Skoranek gonna save me. If Ben Skoranek gets me to the next round of our playoff matchup, that would be
I'll have to send you a jersey.
I need I'll buy a Ben Skoranek jersey, man. If Ben Skoranek gets me past your juggernaut of a team, I will buy a Ben Skoranek jersey. I will wear that bad boy. But make sure you tap into our Start Sit show on Sunday morning. Mike and Adam will be doing that. We'll have guests on that show as well. I hope y'all get through. This is a rough week, man. We got good players on bye, and we got a lot of bad players that are going to be in lineups this week. But enjoy football this Saturday. Our newsletter, the All Gas newsletter, free $99. It's out. Link is in the description below. Shout out to Brandon, who works that and manages that to get it all together. America's Game podcast tomorrow comes out with Eric Vanek. We've got the injury podcast from Jeff Mueller that will drop on Sunday. Check out, go back through all the content we dropped this week, man. I really encourage you all to listen to Scott Connor's roster construction series, Threshold Wide Receivers. Go back through that. You need to get that scoring matrix together. We're giving a lot of free information out via the newsletter, on the YouTube channel, and via the podcast network. So do that. Get your family members some Michelle Ladoro coffee, 15% off with the promo code Wake Up, and then use the link, the promo code right here, Wake Up, to get in on the prop bets. But we did have a super chat yesterday, Jay, or on Wednesday. It was from Jimbo. I took a screenshot of that joint because I saw it, and I try not to, I want to make sure that we get all our people in there. And then there's one in the chat today. Can you pull up the screenshot? I meant what the super chat was today, Jay?
Was that earlier in the, because you talked about the comments.
It was I got it. I got to get to the super chat. Where's it at? It was in there. It's in there. It was the only green one. Here we go. Competing. It's from Rhett Cortez. Appreciate you, man. $4.99. Thank you. Competing next year. I own the 101, the 102, 2 additional top 6 picks, a late first. So he's got a bunch of first. Give a late first in Cortland Sutton for Travis Kelce. Give 102 for Waddle. Roster construction is good. Would you trade your 102 for Waddle, Jay?
Yeah, I'd do that.
Easy. Give me Jalen Waddle.
I think so, yeah.
Easy. And would you trade a late first rounder and Cortland Sutton for Travis Kelce and he's competing?
If you're competing, yeah, but if it's crazy to be competing and have all those picks, right?
And
but yeah, if you're
I don't
competing,
know how
absolutely.
He pulled that off.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? But yeah, if you're competing, absolutely.
Dwayne McBride and Cortland Sutton for Travis Kelce, absolutely. That's a smash. Yes, both of those deals. The answer to the question, yes. I would do both of those deals. Jimbo, I can't find. I don't know where I put your comment from the other day, but if you are in the chat. If you just hit us back with it, then I'll make sure that we get you up on Monday. I don't know where the hell it's at. I got a bunch of shit on my computer screen and I can't find it. So it is what it is. But I promise you, baby, you put it back in there or just tap back in on Monday and then we'll make sure we get your question answered, Jimbo. Let me see. He said I don't remember it, bro. Well, you get one on me, baby. You get one on me. Just whatever you need. Monday throughout the end of the year, you get a free one on me. I got you, an IOU. I'm air writing it to you. It's stamped, time stamped, good as gold, man. But we appreciate y'all tapping in to the show this week. Enjoy football this weekend. And make sure y'all wake up with us on Monday morning. We'll be back as we roll into the holiday season. Good luck. We out of this thing. Peace. Thank y'all for watching the Wake Up Show with myself and Jay Rich. If you finished the show and you're still hanging around and have yet to hit the thumbs up button or subscribe to the channel, do that right now and turn them alerts on while you're at it. If you want more exclusive access to me, Jay Rich, the entire Destination Devy team, patreon.com/allgas gives you that access. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter for free 99 content. And if you want to get in on that action, use the promo code WakeUp over on PrizePicks for a 100% deposit match up to $100 for first-time users. And a brand new show dropping on the Mojo YouTube channel. Myself and Jay Rich will be talking about these players and their value from a stock market perspective every single week this fall over on Mojo. It's all gas, all the time, Love y'all. I'm out of this thing. Peace.